Last minute data analysis, page 2 of 5. Let's break these questions down. All right, there's a few things, right? If you got this document from class, terrific. What I want you to do when you're doing homework at home is know if you have limited time because you're taking a test around the corner, let's say within 5 days, then I don't want you to waste a lot of time trying to figure out the answers to the questions. I want you to recognize a question that gives you trouble, stop, and then go straight to the video and see the explanation. When you see the explanation, you understand it, then you can practice with that question for a minute or two, then move on to the next question that gives you trouble. So when you do a document, right, on this one, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 questions. So it should take you 5 minutes to get through these 10 questions. That's 30 seconds per question. Because during a test, you want to own these questions in about 30 seconds per question. But at home, you're going to run into questions that give you trouble. And if they give you trouble at home, then circle the entire question. You find a weakness, then go straight to the video to understand how to destroy that question. I don't want you spending 5, 10 minutes trying to figure it out on your own. That is a bad habit. You got to break those bad habits because they're not going to help you get ready for the exam. So again, if you find a question gives you trouble, you're like, forget this noise, man, I'm trapped. And you'll know within 5 or 10 seconds that you're trapped. Then go straight to the video solution. Saves you a lot of time. After you understand the video, then you can try it out for another minute tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and then you own that question forevermore. All right, 10 questions should take us 30 seconds per question. I'm going to do some explaining on these guys, so be patient with me. All right, one of the concepts that's being tested is going to be ratios, proportions, and conversions. This is question number 6, which means that it's easy. You see, you're hitting your questions, you understand where you are in the test. Now, if it's easy, let's see how easy this is. A printer produces posters at a constant rate of 42 posters for every minute. Immediately, you have to recognize you're dealing with a ratio. That is posters to minutes. How do I do that? You got to practice with these different questions and see that you're dealing with ratios. And for how many minutes? Every 1 minute. At that rate, in posters per hour, I'm sorry, at what rate in posters per hour? And they underlined the word hour. Well, how many minutes do we have in an hour? I'm going to use 60 minutes. You don't want to create another label for hours because you could just convert it to minutes. So 60 minutes. How many posters are produced? I don't know. So cross multiplying, what do you get? P equals 0, and that is I'm sorry, 6 times 2 is 12. Carry the 124. 2520 is the answer to this question. Did you guys get this question number 6? It ain't that hard, man. You just have to recognize how they're wording the questions in here. Now, this one, question number 18, this is considered a hard question because most students answer this question incorrectly. But it's still testing ratios, proportions, and conversions. They're not that hard. Look at the answer choices. They're not asking you to come up with an answer. Like question number 15 here, 7,500, 1,500, 22,500. This one is simply giving you formulas. So now we know all we have to do is translate from the English that they're giving us in a question to one of those answers. So let's carefully do it. So they're showing us that a landscaper uses a hose that puts 88x ounces of water in a bucket in 5 minutes. So we're comparing what? Ounces? Let me do it here. Ounces to minutes. All right. I'm going to show you why this is slick. Now, what the ounces they told us is 88x to what minutes? 5y minutes. When you see those two variables, they're going to try and lock you up by getting you confused. But now watch what I do. I'm looking for the other part to come up with my answer. Which expression represents the number of ounces of water? I don't know what it is, right? I could use that as X, but notice that they're already using X with ADAX. If I do that, I'm going to confuse myself. So when I see a question like that where they give me X and Y initially, then I'll use something different. What do I just use OZ for the number of ounces? Or I could use something different. Let's say I'm using W for the amount of water in ounces. 9y that the hose puts in the bucket in 9y minutes. I'm going to put my 9y right there. All right. Now, if I cross multiply, what am I going to get? So I carefully cross multiply. I'm going to get 5y w is now equal to what's 7 times 88? They kind of gave it to you in the answer choices, right? 792, and x times y is just xy. So what am I solving for? I'm solving for the amount of water. So how do I get rid of that 5y? I'm going to divide 5y by both sides. Check this out now. Now what do I have left over? These are going to cancel out. The 5y's cancel out. Now I have w. My answer is equal to 792xy over 5y. What can I get rid of? Get rid of the y's. Whoop. And what do I have left over? Our answer, 7092x over 5. That's pretty much it. But the trick is when you're writing your variable inside here. Don't use X. Otherwise, they got you. You're going to be thoroughly confused. Come up. You could do a flower symbol if you wanted to. You could do an asterisk if you wanted to. But don't repeat the letter X because they already used it in the setup. All right, question number 23. This is meant to be hard also. And what is it testing? Ratios, proportion, and conversions. Now they're using square yards, square miles, and all that good stuff. So this is how you deal with these guys. These are designed to throw you off, but I'm going to use labels again. I've got 11,863 blah, blah, blah square yards. So I'm going to make a label for it. Yards, check this out, squared. Now, what are they? It's going to be 11,863,808. All right, now what? Because I see they're converting to square miles, I'm going to also include just my yards without it being squared. So how do I do that? That means I'm just going to square root my 11,863,000. What's the square root of that? Check this out. It's going to come out to be 344.39. I'm not even going to write the point 0.3. Well, I should, because I don't want to confuse you. All right, so what did I do? I wrote down the square yards, but immediately I'm putting my yards. They didn't give me the yards because this is question number 23. They're not going to tell you everything directly like they do with questions 1 through 9. So I'm putting down my yards. So I figured out the square root of 11,863 is going to be 344,439. Notice answer choice C. That is bait. They want you to jump all over that, but you haven't completed the question yet. We still have to figure out what it is in square miles. So if we're going to be dealing with square miles, here, let me write my miles. I got to figure out the number. Oops. I got to figure out the number of miles. So that is a label. They give me this 1 mile. Check out what I do. 1 mile is the equivalent of 1760 yards. See, I put another layer, right? I got another layer right below my yard squared to yards, but then I have to convert to miles. Now I got 1 mile is equal to 1760. So therefore I have to figure out what is that going to be with my 3444.39. If I cross multiply this, I'm going to see that my answer is going to be approximately 2. So go ahead and cross multiply, then divide both sides by 1760. You're going to see that your X is going to wind up equaling to something very close to 2. I hope you can see that this is a 1 to 2 ratio. So that means your answer for the number of miles is going to be 1 to 2. Now, is that our answer to the question? No, they want our answer to be what? They want it to be in square miles. So if I took 2, what would be my miles? Let me put ml squared. So what would be my miles squared? Well, what's 2 squared? 2 squared is going to equal 4. Which answer is closest to 4? B as in boy. All right, so that question and the previous question, they're dirty questions, but what's the rhythm to all this? Using labels and cross multiplying. All right, let's do another one here. Question number 26. This is meant to be hard. Why am I showing you hard questions? Because once you understand the basic concepts of the hard questions, then the easy, medium, low questions, they fall right into your lap. Owned questions. All right, 1 gallon paint will cover 220 square feet. Did you hear that? 1 gallon paint will cover 220 square feet. So labels. I'm going to use gallons and feet squared. So they said 1 gallon will cover 220 square feet. Properly labeled. I continue reading carefully because I know these hubba bubbas can be dirty with their questions. So I'm expecting some dirtiness. A room has a wall area of W square feet. Where do I put that W? Underneath my square feet. I'm going to put W right underneath. Carefully labeling. Now, which equation represents the total number of P paint in gallons? Where am I going to put that P? Underneath my gallons. Needed to paint the walls of the room. Ooh, twice. There's the dirtiness. Needed to paint the rooms of the walls of the room twice. Most students won't even see that word twice, so they're going to go with the original setup. But if we do see the word twice, right? If we do see the word twice, where does that go? Right in there. We got to put it next to W. Now you guys can cross multiply and own this question. All right, let's do it. So what's 1 times 2W? That's going to just be 2W is equal to 220 P. How do we solve for P? Because we have to solve for paint, right? How do we solve for P? We're going to divide both sides by 220. So that is going to get canceled out. So P equals 2W over 220. Do you see your answer? Some students will be like, oh my goshness, I made a mistake. No, let's reduce. That's going to reduce to 1, and that's going to reduce to 110. So our answer is going to be W over 110, which is A as in Apple Jacks. Was this question really that hard? No, these guys are not that hard. You're practicing to recognize questions that are difficult, but you know they're just a little tricky, but they're not that tricky where you can't get the answer. Now, if you're taking a test, let's say day after tomorrow, and you didn't like this question, you don't have to do this question, but at least you'd be able to recognize it so you don't waste time. What is the baited answer that they want you to bite on? Is this guy right here. Because if we did not recognize that we're dealing with the room twice, then we would not have that, and the answer would wind up being C, which would be wrong. And most students would answer that quickly and correctly. You have to ask yourself, if I got an answer that fast, but I'm in a hard question, maybe they did something. Let me verify that I'm answering the question correctly. All right, let's take a look at question number 10. So we're dropping down in the value of the question. Well, not the value of the question, but the strength of the question. This is a medium level question. By the way, the value of each question is only one raw point. It's like winning $1 for every correct question that you produce. Here, a rocket contained 467 kilograms of propellant before launch, right? I know that's going to be involved, so let me write that down. 46700. And that is before the launch. Let me continue reading and see if I need to set up with labels. Exactly 21 seconds after the launch, there's 362,105 of this propellant remains. Okay, so 21 seconds went by. Now I only have 362 105. So I'm writing this down my side scratch piece of paper. And they said it went through that in 21 seconds. Let me put seconds here. In 21 seconds. Now the question, on average, approximately how much propellant did the rocket burn each second after launch? Oh, I think we got this. So let's figure out how much was actually burned. So we started off with 467,000, but we are left over 362,105. Let's just subtract and see what we get. 10 minus 5 is 5, 9 minus 2 is 9, 9 minus 1 is 8, and 6 minus 2 is 4, and that'll be 0 and 1. So we have 104, comma 895 left over. Now, how much was burned for each second? We're going to divide this sucker by what? We'll divide it by 21. And what's our best answer? A's and Apple Jacks, if you use your calculator carefully. You guys good with this one? Not too bad. It's kind of tricky because you have multiple steps. First, you have to use your labels and pay attention. It's like reading comp. Pay attention to how the question's being asked. All right, next question, top right-hand corner. We got this guy. This is an upper medium level question, almost on the border of hard question. Oh, actually, I recognize this one. This is a slick question. So pay attention to this guy because more than likely you're going to see this in an upcoming test. Let's read it. A proposal for a new library was included on an election ballot. The radio show stated that 3 times as many people voted in favor. Oh, okay. Here we go. 3 times as many people voted in favor of the proposal as people who voted against it. What does that mean? Now we got to translate. We're not used to hearing this stuff, so let's translate it. Let's go with the label for in favor. I'm going to use IN for in favor. I'm going to use AGA for against. Now, they said 3 times as many people were in favor as against it. There you go. So 3-to-1 ratio. Very easy, but you have to listen carefully for this. All right, now we continue reading. A social media post reported that 15,000 more people voted in favor of the proposal than voted against it. Oh, 15,000 more people with the actual. Oh, what is this? Undo add strokes. Wait, no, I'll leave it like that. All right. So 15,000 more people voted in favor. So that's really 15,000, which means the difference of the actual people who voted. But in the ratio, you have to ask yourself, then how many more people voted with the ratio? So if 3 were in favor and 1 was against it, then what is going to be the difference? That's like what that 15,000 is in the actual number. So it's 3 minus what equal to? It is equal to 2. That is the same thing. That's 2 more people voted in favor of the proposal than voted against it with the ratio. But if an actual 15,000 people more people voted in favor of it, now you have your ratio set. You have the ratio 3-to-1, the difference is 2. The actual number of people more people who voted in favor is 15,000. You put that underneath the two. And that has to go with what? What the question is asking. Based on the data, how many people voted against the proposal? So that will be your X. You can cross multiply. You get 2X equals 15,000. And your answer will be X equals, because we divide 2 by both sides. And our answer is going to be A, 7,500. Get familiar with this question. I bet money we're going to see something like this on the next exam. All right, question number 26. Oh, another hard question. What are you doing to us, Mr. Alberto? No, I'm showing you the dirty stuff so that you're better prepared. If you understand the steps to the dirty stuff, then the easy stuff becomes even easier. All right, let's jump all over this guy. I got poll results. Anytime they give me an image, I see Angel got 483, Terry got 320. So this is from a poll, which means it doesn't have everybody involved. They took a sampling, right? It's just a basic sample. Now we read the question. The table shows the results of a poll. A total of 803 voters selected at random were asked. I'll bet money that 483 plus 320 will equal 803. That they can't mess around with. They can't really say that these numbers are going to be different from this number. So we can trust it. You can add it just to make certain that they do match. But I don't think you have to worry about it any longer after you add them up together. Now let's pay attention to the rest of the question. This 803 selected at random were asked which candidate they would vote for in the upcoming election. According to the poll, if 6,424 people vote in the election, now listen carefully to the question. That's why this question is considered hard. By how many votes would Angel be expected to win? What does that mean? By how many votes would Angel? They're asking for the difference again. So let's go with the poll. What was the difference in the poll numbers? So let's subtract. Was 3 minus 0? 3. 8 minus 2 is 6. 4 minus 1 is 3. So the difference to the poll, or the total, let's do that. Difference to the total with the poll is 163 to what? 803. Ding, you got your ratio here. So if we have to figure out by how many votes Angel won by, what was the actual total number of people voted? 6424. Check this out. I'm going to write 6424 underneath the total. And now we have to figure out how many actually voted. We can cross multiply. Now, if you cross multiply, you're going to get your answer. But I want to show you something else. Notice the totals. It's 803 to 6424. Isn't that a 1 to 8 ratio? Yeah, how many times does 800 go into 6,400? 8 times. So it's a 1 to 8 ratio. Maybe you recognize, if you do recognize the ratio, that means the other side, the difference would also have to be a 1 to 8 ratio. If you cross multiply, remember, you cross multiply, you get the answer in the same way that we're doing it with ratio. 1 to 8. So what's 8 times 163? It's going to be B as in boy. That's it. But if you cross multiply, you'll get 803. X is equal to 6424 times 163. If you do your business, you'll still get the same answer, B as in boy. Not bad, right? Is that really that hard? What makes this question hard and the previous question hard is recognizing that they're asking for the difference. What answers are they going to give you for answer choices? If you don't recognize that they're asking for the difference, they'll ask you, well, how many voted for and how many voted against? Or how many voted for Angel and how many voted for Terry? And you won't even recognize they're talking about the difference, not the actual numbers for each person. All right, question number 14. Oh, now we're going into data sets. So what are data sets? They're just lists of numbers, right? Here, a list of 10 data values are shown. What is the mean? Oh, what is mean also? It is average. So in order to get the average, what do we have to do first? We're going to have to take those 10 numbers and add them all up together, right? If we add them all up together carefully, it's going to equal 100. Let me just verify. That's 14 plus 16. That's going to be 30. And I got 4. That's 21. That's going to be 47. And I got 15 plus 8 is 23. I add those guys up. Yeah, it does equal 100. Divided by how many values? 10. So our answer is going to be 10. Bang, bang, we're done. Question number 6, another list of numbers, data sets. But in this one, they're asking us, what is the median of the data set? All right, the median is the middle number, the mid number in the list. But your list has to be drawn in ascending or descending order. Let's see if these numbers are listed in ascending or descending order. Let me see. We got 73, 74, 75, 76, 79, 82, 84, 85, 91. Yes, they're in ascending order. Now, how do we get to the median? You guys remember doing this in school? Cross the smallest and the biggest, smallest and the biggest, biggest and the smallest, smallest and the biggest. What's in the middle? 79 is the answer. It's the number that sits right in the middle. Remember, the previous question, they're asking for the average. This one is asking for the median, the middle number. Don't get confused between the two because they both begin with M and E. One has mean, the other one is median. Mean is average, median is just the middle number. Question number 7. Oh, it's a low level number. The previous question was an easy question, and this guy is also an easy question. What is the range? So they like asking the range. Range, we need our numbers in ascending or descending order. So what's the range? Let's check first. Is it in ascending order? 2, 3, 2, 7, 2, 7, 32, 35, 36, 52. Yes, they are. So the range is just taking the biggest number and subtracting the smallest number. So what is 52 minus 23? And that's going to equal 29. And that is the answer to a question. Now, I'll give you one more thing. What if they ask, what is the mode of the list of numbers? What is mode? The number that repeats the most. And what number repeats the most here? 27 would be our mode. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this page. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or if you need access to any additional information, you can contact me at 786-877-7231. Hoo-hoo! Catch you later.